Once, in a small, sun-drenched village nestled among rolling hills, lived a farmer named Ahmed. He wasn't rich, nor was he powerful, but he possessed a treasure far greater, a heart full of unwavering faith and contentment. His most prized possession was a magnificent stallion, a horse so strong and beautiful that merchants from distant lands would travel just to gaze upon it. They would offer bags of gold, but Ahmed would always smile and politely decline. "This horse is not just an animal," he'd say. "It is a friend, a member of my family." How can one sell a friend? One morning, Ahmed woke to find the stable empty. The stallion was gone. The news spread through the village like wildfire. His neighbors, who had always been a little envious of his prized horse, rushed to his home. "Oh, Ahmed, what a terrible misfortune," they cried. "That beautiful horse, gone. It must have been stolen or run away. This is truly bad luck. We are so sorry for your loss." Ahmed listened patiently, his face calm and serene. He simply looked at them and replied, "How do you know this is a misfortune? All we know is that the stable is empty. Whether it is a blessing or a curse, only time will tell. Life is a game of fate, and its rules are not for us to understand so quickly." The villagers shook their heads, murmuring among themselves. "Poor Ahmed," they whispered. "The shock has made him lose his senses." They left, convinced he was in denial of his terrible fate. Weeks turned into a month. The villagers had almost forgotten about the stallion. Then, one evening, as the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the fields, a thundering sound echoed from the hills. Ahmed looked up from his work and saw a breathtaking sight. His stallion was galloping towards the farm, and Benedict, herd of a dozen wild, powerful horses followed, their manes flying in the wind. His horse had not been stolen. It had simply escaped and returned, bringing with it a gift beyond imagination. The neighbors, hearing the commotion, came running again. Their jaws dropped in amazement. "Ahmed, you are the luckiest man alive," they exclaimed. "What a wonderful blessing. Your horse returned, and now you have a whole herd. This is incredible. Good fortune." They slapped him on the back, their faces beaming with vicarious joy. Ahmed, tending to the new horses with a gentle hand, smiled that same calm smile. "How do you know this is a blessing?" he asked quietly. "All we know for sure is that my stable is now full of horses. Whether this is good fortune or bad, who can say? Let us not be so quick to judge the turns of fate." The villagers were perplexed once more. How could this man not see the obvious wealth that had just landed in his lap? They left, shaking their heads in wonder at his strange outlook. A few days later, Ahmed's only son, a strong and capable young man, decided to train one of the wild horses. The horse, untamed and spirited, bucked wildly. The boy was thrown to the ground with great force, and his leg was badly broken. The village healer did his best, but the break was severe. It was clear the boy would walk with a limp for the rest of his life. Once again, the procession of neighbors arrived at Ahmed's home, their faces etched with pity and concern. "Oh, Ahmed, what a terrible tragedy," they lamented. "First, you get these horses, and now your only son is crippled. This is a true curse. It would have been better if that stallion had never returned. This is the worst luck imaginable." Ahmed sat by his son's bedside, his expression one of love and patience, not despair. He looked at his well-meaning neighbors and said, his voice soft but firm, "You see a broken leg and call it a curse. All I see is my son, alive here with me. Life's path is not a straight road. It has twists and turns we cannot foresee. How can we be so certain that this event is a misfortune?" The villagers left, utterly convinced that Ahmed was either a fool or a saint, unable to grasp the gravity of his situation. A week passed. The kingdom was plunged into turmoil. A war had broken out with a neighboring empire, and the king's army officials arrived in the village. They carried a decree. Every able-bodied young man was to be conscripted into the army and sent to the front lines. The village was filled with the sounds of weeping mothers and fathers as their sons were taken away. They marched through the streets, rounding up every young man, their faces grim. When the army officials came to Ahmed's house, They saw his son lying in bed with his leg tightly bound in splints. The captain looked at the boy's injury and shook his head. "This one is of no use to us," he declared. "Leave him." And so they moved on, leaving Ahmed's son behind. He was the only young man in the entire village who was spared from the brutal war, from which very few were expected to return. That evening, the entire village gathered at Ahmed's house. But this time they did not come with words of pity or congratulations. They came in silence, their eyes filled with a new understanding, with awe and respect. The village elder, his voice trembling with emotion, finally spoke. "Ahmed," he said, "you were right all along. We were fools to judge so quickly. We mourned your misfortune and celebrated your good fortune, but we saw nothing clearly. Your horse running away seemed like bad luck, but it brought you more horses. The horses seemed like a blessing, but they led to your son's injury. And your son's injury, which we saw as a terrible curse, has now saved his life. You understood something we did not. That fate is a grand, mysterious game, and every move has a hidden purpose." Ahmed looked at the faces of his friends and neighbors, now filled with humility. "My friends," he began, "life is not a series of isolated events of good or bad luck. It is a single continuous story written by a power far greater than us. Every challenge is a test of our faith, every loss is a lesson in patience, and every blessing is an opportunity for gratitude. The wild horse breaking my son's leg was not a curse, it was a hidden protection. The stallion disappearing was not a loss, it was the start of a new chapter." He continued, his voice resonating with wisdom. "We suffer because we try to control the uncontrollable. We become anxious because we fear the unknown. But if we can learn to trust that there is a grander plan, a purpose behind every struggle, then we can find peace. When things seem unfair, have faith. When you feel lost, be patient. What appears to be a closed door might be guiding you to a wider, more beautiful gate you never knew existed. Your struggles are not punishments. They are shaping you, carving you into the person you are meant to be. Good deeds, kindness, and an honest heart will always find their reward, even if the path is long." The villagers listened, captivated. The story of Ahmed and his horse became a legend, a timeless moral passed down through generations. It was a story that taught them that life is a divine test. It is not about avoiding hardship, but about facing it with courage, faith, and a positive heart. It taught them that what seems like a setback might just be a setup for a greater comeback. Destiny is not just what happens to us, it is also how we respond. It is a partnership between fate and our own effort, our own belief. So, the next time you face an unexpected turn, when life throws a challenge your way that seems unfair or overwhelming, remember the story of the farmer Ahmed. Ask yourself, how do I know this is a misfortune? Trust the process. Embrace the uncertainty, and have faith that every event, every twist of fate, is a part of your unique and beautiful journey. What looks like an ending might just be the beginning of your greatest blessing. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspirational content. Remember to hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Until next time, stay patient, stay faithful, and embrace your journey.